Hi, I'm Darin Wilson, Vice President of Suburban Wholesale and Supply. Alongside me, Bill Endsley from Progressive Foam. Bill, tell the folks a little bit about yourself.
Thanks, Darin. First of all, I appreciate you inviting me here today. And like Darin said, my name is Bill Endsley with Progressive Foam. And I have a story to tell you. I've been passionate about this business. I was born and raised in the exterior cladding business, primarily vinyl siding, and I retired once, and I came back to work because of what insulation does to your home. And I'm a homeowner like the rest of you. And so what I do now, Darin, is I travel basically the Midwest. I'm a territory manager of Progressive Foam, and I talk to people about insulated vinyl siding or insulation alloy that would go behind any cladding. So that's basically what I do.
So Bill, a lot of folks say that the great foundation behind a great siding product is actually the insulation behind it. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Hey Darin, thank you. I'd love to answer that question. That's my passion in life, actually. Homeowners now are concerned about energy savings. We all know that we're paying more for energy than we ever have, and it's probably the #1 thing in their mind. But when you take insulation, and actually this is a piece of vinyl siding, and we have insulation now that would go behind any exterior cladding, but when you take insulation and actually add it to behind a good vinyl siding product, it's going to help it look better on the wall because it acts as a leveling board, and people want their homes to look nice no matter what's on it, and so it's going to level the wall out and make the siding, it kind of straightens the imperfections in the wall. It makes the siding look better. And then it has tons of thermal properties where it's going to save money on their energy bills. And lots of other things. It actually kills termites there and does lots of other cool stuff. But adding insulation behind vinyl is a really good thing, especially these days.
Well, Bill, they say today's mortgage payment is tomorrow's energy bill. When we look back in the early 80s, the mortgage payment was $200 to $300, and that's what we're paying month to month on energy bills today. Could you expand upon that a little bit for us?
Darin, I am so passionate about that because a loaf of bread used to cost 21 cents too. And the fact of the matter is, none of us are paying today what we're going to be paying in the future for energy to heat our homes and take care of our families. And the fact of the matter is, our fathers probably we're paying more now for energy to heat our homes than our parents actually paid in their mortgage payment years ago. That's probably true. And the sad news is, Darin, that's probably not going to get any better real soon. And that's why people are making better decisions now to put insulated siding on their home to help save on those energy costs. I have a little demonstration here, Darin. This is we call it a hot box, but basically and simply it's set up. It shows a piece of insulated vinyl siding over here, and it shows another piece of exterior cladding over here with no insulation behind it. And simply, it's just a couple of hot red bulbs in here that exude heat through those products. I just want to show you, this has been turned on for about 30 to 45 minutes. I just want to demonstrate to you what the heat difference is. This is the insulated siding panel over here, and the number on this is going to be considerably less temperature than it is on the uninsulated panel, but there's going to be a 40 to 50 degree difference in just insulation versus no insulation. And that's what's hitting people today, is that when you look at the rising energy costs, you really need to do something today to stop the cost you have today, but also to prepare yourself in the next 10 years. If you think the next 10 years energy costs are going to keep going up, then it's a wise decision to do something about it today to prepare for that.
Now, Bill, I think you talked about thermal bridging earlier. Could you explain to me what thermal bridging is and how it affects your home?
Darin, that's a great question, and thermal bridging is actually such an important thing now because thermal bridging is actually where warm air would pass through the studs of your home. And if you actually look at stud framing, stick framing on a house, if you took the studs and actually slammed them together, they would represent, Darin, about 25% of your total wall face. So if you don't insulate those studs, that means that warm air is going to pass through those studs. In the wintertime, it's leaving your living room and going to the cold front yard. The summertime, it works too because it's coming from the warm front yard back into your cool living room. So it's important that you insulate it. What it looks like would be like this. If you had a stud and it was turned sideways like this, it creates a natural roadway for the warm air to pass through that, and that's actually what thermal bridging is. Between the studs you may have some bad insulation, but you need to cover the outside of those studs. In fact, it's so important, Darin, that now it's code in this country that you need to put a band of continuous insulation around the outside of the studs on new frame homes.
So Bill, there's a lot of different insulation products out there, and I have some of them right here. A lot of folks call this stuff insulation. What do you know about it, and how is this different from the Progressive Foam product?
Darin, that's another great question. Let me have those just for a second. Without beating up a competitor and without going into specific details about each one of these, I would just say this. When you choose an insulation to go behind your siding, you want to do business with people that will actually show you all the options. Some of these products, Darin, aren't very good, number one, at insulating. They're not very thick, and the higher R value is created by thickness and density. They're not thick enough to do much. Most of them don't have a lot of structural integrity, so they're not going to do much to make the siding look better on the wall. And in addition to that, some of these products actually don't breathe. We talk about that permeability. Permeability is the ability of a material to let vapor pass through it. And there's 4 to 6 gallons of vapor created every day out of what we call the wet rooms in a house, which would be the kitchen, the bathroom. They create vapor, and that vapor needs to go through that wall. And you don't want it to condense inside the wall, because then you have moisture and you have wet insulation and wet wood. It's really important that when you put a product, an insulation product, you want to let it breathe and let that water vapor pass through and not condense inside the wall, but outside the cavity of the wall. It's really important. There's some other issues. These products don't have a product in them called Preventol. One of the advantages you have with progressive foam is Preventol is actually will actually kill termites. And you can't tell a homeowner they want to have termites by using it, but you can tell people that the termites that choose to attack your insulation won't make it through the night. And Preventol, basically, termites need a place to live and raise their kids. They need a food source. They need a water source. What happens? They crawl up through the framing members of the house, and they will actually rest and nest in the cavity of the wall, simply because they can eat the cellulose that's in the wood. That's a food source for them. So they nest in the wall, and they have to have water. So they will try to find the water. Well, if you've done your job with your insulation, the vapors pass through the wall, and it's outside the cavity, but they will drill through the insulation looking for it. When they chew into Preventol, it's a systemic insecticide, completely safe. Same stuff they put in Fluffy's flea powder down at Petco, but it's completely safe, but it will kill a termite. And so it's going to help you protect that product and your investment in your insulation and your siding for the lifetime of the product on the wall. So the permeability, letting the house breathe, and for termites, to kill the termites and to get a higher R value, some of these products will not live up to that.
Well, Bill, you talked a little bit about the insulation adhered to the back of the siding panel. Are there other options out there if you don't want to go this route?
Suburban Wholesale has tons of options, and they're a wholesale distributor for our products, and they're welcome to buy anything that they want to buy from us. And I will tell you, some of the choices they have for you, the homeowner, is they have some other flat foams. They have the insulated siding panel that's laminated, but they also have other options. This is a fan fold type product that's made out of Neopor. Neopor just gives you a little higher R value, so maybe you want a higher R value but not spend as much money. This might be an option for you. They have another product here called Halfback H2O. It's also made out of Neopor. It has some other options, but one of the big options, the thing Darin liked about it, was it's got a moisture management groove on the back of it, so that any bulk water that gets up against the substrate may be carried away. So it's a brand new product, but Suburban Wholesale is welcome to choose to buy anything that they can buy from Progressive Foam. And I will say this, Darin, we actually have insulation now that will fit behind any cladding that you can use in the United States of America.
Bill, you mentioned Neopor. Why is that important in a siding insulation product?
Neopor in this country, Darin, is actually a fairly new product. It was developed primarily because of the higher R value. The compelling advantage is when you make a siding insulation out of Neopor as versus no Neopor, you're going to get about a 19 to 20% higher R value. The way that happens, it is new, the way that happens is they actually infuse graphite into the expanded polystyrene product that's in here. And the graphite basically acts like a series of mirrors that just wears the warm air out as it goes through it, and the compelling advantage is you get a higher R value because of that.
Well, Bill, we talked about insulation behind the siding. I don't think the insulation stops there. Can you talk a little bit about an insulated corner post for us?
Darin, absolutely. When you look at the insulation envelope, this is such a good choice because we actually put the inserts in the corner post, and it basically just continues the insulation story. So as the siding panel with the insulation fits into this corner, it continues the insulation here because you're going to lose heat, radiant warm air through that corner as much as you will through the rest of the siding. So we put the insulation in there actually to continue the insulation story to get the full benefit of the insulation. Another thing that homeowners say that they like about that, Darin, is you actually covered up that cavity and filled it with something, so you're going to have to you're taking away a nesting place for a lot of animals and insects and things like that that might love to get in there. So it's got lots of different benefits to it, but we recommend it on every job.
Thanks, Bill, for sharing a lot of information about Progressive Foam products. And for you at home, if you'd like to check us out on the internet, Suburban Wholesale and Supply, or log on to Facebook and check us out there to see some more of these great products.